Today we're going to be looking at the top 5 teams to rebuild in Madden 23. Yes, this is my updated list because I did one of these when Madden 23 first dropped, and those were 10 teams, and I'm not going to give you the same old repeat teams. But yeah, I'm not going to keep you guys waiting any longer, and if you're new here, consider subscribing. Also, drop a like. I post a whole bunch of Madden content, and hopefully you guys enjoy this video. But for now, let's hop right into it. Now, coming in at the number 5 spot, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. This team does have a bit of talent, you know, just here and there. That's really what it is. Like, if we just take a look at the offense, there's not really much to work with on the offensive line other than the left tackle Colton Miller, but this offensive line needs totally rebuilt. Darren Waller, yes, he's an 87, but he is getting older. He's 29 years old, so you're going to get like a couple more years out of him. And that's literally the thing with this roster. I mean, if we're going to be realistic here, the Raiders look like they're moving on from Derek Carr, especially whenever they announced that they were going to bench him for the last 2 games. And then Josh Jacobs, he's on an expiring deal. Are they really going to bring him back? I don't think he's going to come back to the Raiders. And then, you know, Devontae Adams, what do you do here? 99 overall. And yes, he's getting a little bit older. He's 29 years old, the same age as Darren Waller. There's just not really anything to work with on the offensive side. And then you go over the defensive side. I mean, you got some pieces over here, but like it's like the same thing. Chandler Jones, this isn't a team that's going to compete anytime soon. So you might as well trade all these people away, start over again. I mean, Max Crosby, he's pretty good. But again, this roster is just a mess. They're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, you might as well trade away these pieces because as it stands right now, it is not very good, and that's why I put the Raiders at number 5. At number 4, we have the New Orleans Saints, and kind of like the Raiders, it's just a whole bunch of like just spread out talent, but not really a complete team. It just needs like just to start over again. There needs to be a complete rebuild. I mean, the defensive side of the ball isn't all that bad, but it's more like the offensive side of things, and especially this offensive line isn't that bad either. I mean, they got Ryan Ramczyk, Cesar Ruiz, Eric McCoy. I mean, this isn't that bad of an offensive line, and it's pretty young, so you don't really have to worry about that. But the big thing with this Saints roster is you got to get the quarterback right. I mean, they got Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton here and trying to compete with these 2 guys. I mean, you got Alvin Kamara, who's getting a little bit older. I think he's like, what, 27, maybe 28? Yeah, this receiving core isn't that great. I mean, you got Chris Olave, which this is a really good piece to have on the offensive side of the things, but you know, you got to bring in some more weapons here, especially maybe like another tight end. Then if we go over to the defensive side of things, I mean, the Saints defense is really solid. It's been really solid the past couple of years, but they do have some aging veterans in Tyrann Mathieu, Demario Davis, Cameron Jordan. However, they do have some nice young stars like Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, Marcus Davenport, and this Pete Werner dude. It's a nice team. It's not as bad of a rebuild as the Raiders, I'd say. But yeah, we got the Saints at number 4. Now at number 3, I got a pretty obvious team, and it's the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, like the offensive line, it isn't all that bad. I mean, they just outside of like a left tackle and a right guard, it's not the worst. But with the Colts, guys, with the Indianapolis Colts, obviously they need a quarterback. I think it's time to stop with these veteran quarterbacks, and it's just time to grab a young, nice prospect that has potential. I mean, the running back room is not all that bad. You got Quentin Nelson, obviously, one of the stars of this team. However, I do think this rebuild would be pretty fun because the Colts need some skill positions, such as like tight end and wide receivers. Because Michael Pittman, I think he's a good wide receiver 2. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1. Now, Paris Campbell isn't all that bad, and Alec Pierce. But these guys, I'd see them more as like wide receiver 3s and wide receiver 4s. Like maybe going out, drafting a wide receiver would be pretty nice for this offense. And then on the defensive side of the things, it's actually not that bad of a defense. This defense is underrated. I mean, we got Stephon Gilmore here. He could probably give you like another 2 solid years. But Isaiah Rodgers, I know this guy, he's really young. I think he just got drafted like what, last year? And he's 76 overall, so you can develop him. You got Kenny Moore, obviously one of the best slot corners in the game. Shaquille Leonard, 88 overall. He was just drafted a couple years ago. Bobby Okereke, Kwity Paye. I mean, this defense is solid. It's really solid. It's mainly the offensive side of the ball that you have to work on, especially, you know, getting a quarterback, getting some more skill positions, and then filling out that offensive line. And then I think this team could be able to compete, especially in their division. I mean, they got the Jaguars, the Titans, and the Texans. Maybe you can do this rebuild in like an off season or 2. I don't think this is too bad. So that's why I have the Colts here at number 3. Now at number 2, I have the New England Patriots. I mean, how many times have we been able to say this the past couple of years with the Patriots that they need a rebuild? I mean, you just couldn't. They had a dynasty. They had Brady. They just, no matter who they had on their team, they were winning it. I think their cracks are starting to show, and I think it's time to completely rebuild this roster. I don't think Mac Jones is the answer, if I'm being honest here. So I'd probably look to trade him or something. Jacoby Myers, I mean, this receiving core it's just meh. It's just the same thing as the Colts. I do like the running backs though, Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. I'd probably honestly give the starting role to Ramondre Stevenson. The offensive line is solid. Then on the defensive side of the things, I think it could use some work. I mean, it doesn't look great, but you know the Patriots. They get the defense to just play good. It doesn't matter who they have. But it's just the Patriots team, man. I think that they just need to blow all of this up. I don't trust the offensive side of the ball. They really need a lot of work on this end, and that's what I have the Patriots at number 2. I think it's fun. I think it's unique, and this isn't a team that you're going to be able to rebuild too often. Now at number 1, we got the Denver Broncos. Where do we even start with this roster? I mean, they traded away most of their draft picks to get Russell Wilson, and he's only a 79 overall superstar X Factor. So yeah, this is gonna be quite the rebuild. I'm really interested to see what people can do with this. The offensive line is not that good. I mean, we do have Javonte Williams, so don't forget about him. The receiving core, I think that you need to add to this because I don't really believe in Jerry Jeudy. I do like Cortland Sutton, but I think he's like a good wide receiver too. On the defensive side of things, it does look a little bit better. I mean, you got the corners figured out. Baron Browning, he's nice. He's a nice piece they have. Josie Jewell, he's also like a nice piece that they have. But guys, this roster, it completely needs overhauled. So it's really up to you guys. If you want a hard rebuild, this is it. You could start somewhere. You could trade Russ. I don't know if you could try to make this team a little bit better, but I don't know. That's why I have it at number 1, and I think that's going to be the list. And that is going to do it for this video. Those are my top 5 teams to rebuild in Madden 23. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and again, consider subscribing, leave a like, and with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.